Okay, so this is Unit 9, Day 4, and we are going to be focusing on rectangular and triangular prisms. This time we're finding the volume, and we will talk about more what volume is. So here's your learning target. I can use formulas to find the volume of rectangular and triangular prisms. Here are some pictures of prisms. Let's go ahead and fill in the blanks. So the first blank is volume is the total capacity of a three-dimensional object. It describes how much space the object occupies. So before, when we talked about surface area, we were wrapping these presents basically. So I want you to imagine we were like covering the surface of all of these. Imagine there was a present and we were going to ship it off and we needed to wrapping paper all the way along the outside. Well, this time we're not talking about the outside, but we're talking about the inside, how much space is being taken up on the inside. So you could think of like water being on the inside of a box and how much volume is that going to take up? Or if water filled the entire inside, how much would that take up? So that's what we're focusing on this time. All right, this says to shade the bases of the rectangular prisms below. So this would be a base and this one. Our bases are always the end pieces. You could pick these end ones and this one right here. Because it's a cube, all sides are the same. So describe how you would find the area of the bases. Well, all of the bases are rectangles, so to find the area, you have to use the formula area equals base times height. You guys know this by now as B times H. Okay, base times height. All right, so base. The base of a three-dimensional object names the shape. This is kind of a review for you. It should be by now. A prism has two bases which are parallel to each other and do not touch. Just like train tracks, they will never cross each other. They will never cross because they are parallel. All right, so with rectangular prisms, volume can be determined by finding the area of the base and then by multiplying it by the height of the object. So let's go ahead and find the area of the base and then multiply it by the height of the object. So here's how we would write that. Base in all caps and then height would be lower. Because the base is in all caps, this means we need to find the area of the base first and then we're going to multiply it by the height. Let's take a look at what our base is going to be. This would be our base right here. And our base is going to be 6 centimeters by 9 centimeters. I know this because directly below says the exact same thing. So 6 times 9, that gives us 54 centimeters. Well, that is our base. So our formula, I shouldn't write area, I should write volume. Our formula for volume is to find the area of the base and then multiply it by the height. So let's go ahead and plug in our values. We did the area of the base was 9 times 6, and now we need to multiply it by the height. And our height is going to be 4.5 centimeters. So let's plug 4.5 centimeters in for the height. And that will give us our volume. And if you do that, you should get 243 centimeters cubed. Here's the difference now. Because we're talking about a 3D shape, we're going to cube all of our answers. We're just going to put a little 3 up there. That means this is a three-dimensional shape. Now, another way that you could do this, you might have noticed all we did was multiply those three numbers together. We multiplied 4.5 by 9 by 6. Some students have already learned about this in 6th grade, and we call this volume is equal to the length times the width times the height. So you could say 6 is your length, 9 is your width, and 4.5 is your height. If you like that better, you are welcome to use that equation. They're kind of the same. All right, let's go on to our next slide. So find the volume of each rectangular prism below. All measurements are in centimeters. So these should all say cm right by them. So all you would do is multiply the three side lengths together. You would do 6 times 8.5 times 4, and that would give you, and I'm going to write this out exactly what you do, 6 times 8.5 times 4, and that would give you 204 centimeters cubed. On question number 2, you would do 1.7 times 8 times 8, and that would give you 108.8 centimeters cubed. If you want to go ahead and pause and try doing the rest on your own, then I would come back and press play and see if you are getting the same answers. Okay, the next one, let's go ahead and do 22 times 3 times 18, and you should get 1,188 centimeters cubed. This tissue box over here, you would do 10 times 9.2 times 25. Plug all of that in, and you should get 2,300 centimeters cubed. On question number 5, you would count how many squares across you have, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and you have 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 going up. And so let's just multiply all those together. 5 times 2 times 4, and we get 40 centimeters cubed. All right, and then the next question, let's go ahead and do 6 times 12.3 times 3.1. Multiply all those together, and you get 228.78 centimeters cubed. All right, next screen. Volume of triangular prisms. So the last one, I think that was pretty straightforward. You just multiply the three numbers together. This time it's kind of similar, but just a little bit different. Okay, so a triangular prism uses the same formula as a rectangular prism, which is volume equals area of the base times the height. However, the base is actually a triangle. So B, or area of the base, is actually equal to the area of a triangle. And the height of the prism is the distance between the bases. The height of the prism is always the distance between the bases. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Formula for the area of a triangle, if you recall, area is equal to the base times the height, and then you have to divide that by 2. That's for a triangle. So if we plugged in our values, our base is 14, we're going to multiply by the height of 7, and then we're going to divide by 2. And plug all of that in, and you should get, for your area, 49 feet squared. So this next one says shade the base of each of the figures below and then label the height of the figure and the height of the triangular base. Well, my height, okay, I'll label these first, or shade them first. My bases are going to be the triangle, so let's shade those in. I have more triangles right here. And then if we had to label these, I would say my base is right here, and the height of my triangle is right there, and the height of the rectangle is right here. Okay, so base of my triangle, the height of my triangle would be the most straight line that we could find. That's pretty nice. And then our height of our rectangle going along right here. Because don't forget, this is really important. I'd actually put a star by this. The height of the prism is the distance between the bases. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and find the volume of the triangular prism below. We're going to use the exact same equation right here. The volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. Well, the area of a triangle, I'm going to write it out right here, is base times height divided by 2. Let's plug that in. Our base is going to be 4, and the height of the triangle is 3.5. So 4 times 3.5 divided by 2, that's going to give us the area of the base. So I'm going to say the base is equal to 4 times 3.5 divided by 2. Now we need to know what our volume is going to be. Let's plug in right now some numbers. I need to do 4 times 3.5 divided by 2. And I just got 7. So now, if we were to plug in 7 for the base, area of the base, all we have left to do is to multiply by the height. Now the height is going to be our distance between the two bases, and that's going to be 7. So all that's left is the volume is equal to 7 times 7. We have the first 7 because 7 was the area of the base. We have the second 7 because 7 is the distance between the two bases. Okay, and if we do that, 7 times 7, we should get for a volume 49 feet cubed would be your final answer. All right, next one. Remember that a figure is named by the shape of the bases, or the shape of the base, which are the two faces that do not touch. They do not touch. So let's practice finding the volume of the figures below. Now remember, the formula is area is equal to the base, area of the base, times the height. Well, my base is this triangle right here, and the area of that, I need to do base times height divided by 2. Well, my base is going to be 8, and the height, over here it says is 6. So let's do 8 times 6 divided by 2. 8 times 6 is 48. Divide that by 2, and we should get 24. So we got 24 for the area of the base, and now we need to times it by the height. Well, the height is always going to be the distance in between your two bases, which is 7. Let's times by 7. 24 times 7, and that should give us, let me type this in, 168 centimeters cubed. I'm cubing my answer because we need to find the volume, and volume is cubed. All right, let's do the formula for number 3. With a triangular prism, we are going to have to do area is equal, oh my goodness, I messed up both times. Even back here I messed up. I should have put volume because we're finding volume. Volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So let's go ahead and plug these in. I'm going to highlight my base over here. It looks like my base is 9 and my height is 12. So I'm going to do 9 times 12 divided by 2. Let's see, 9 times 12 gives me 108, and I'm going to divide that by 2, and I get 54. Okay, so here's what I have so far, 54, and now I need to times that by the height. The height is the distance in between our two bases, which is 8. 54 times 8 gives me 432 centimeters cubed. And don't forget, you have to cube your answer because we're finding volume. All right, question number 4. The formula for volume is area of the base times the height. Well, my base is this triangle, and my other base is this triangle. Let's find the area of one of the bases. So 6 is my base, and the height of the triangle, it says over here, is going to be 5. We have to do our base times the height divided by 2. My base is 6 and the height is 5. Divide that by 2. Well, 6 times 5 is 30. Divide by 2 gives us 15. So area of our base is 15 times by the height. The height is always the distance in between your two bases, and my height is 8.4. So let's do 15 times 8.4, and that gives me 126 centimeters cubed. Don't forget to cube your answer because we're asking for volume. And yeah, that looks good for that slide. Okay, next one. Draw a picture, set up an equation using a formula, and solve each of the problems below. The base of a triangular prism has an area. Oh, a triangular prism. I'm going to actually draw this out right now. A triangular prism, I'm picturing this right here. The base of the triangular prism has an area of 18 square inches. So I think this is going to be 18 square inches, and I think this one is also going to be 18 square inches. If the height of the prism is 9.5 inches, so that's this right here, 9.5, then what is the volume of the prism? Well, remember, to get volume, we have to do the area of the base times the height. They already gave us the area of the base. They said it's 18. And then we just need to times by the height, which was 9.5. So let's just times by 9.5. 18 times 9.5 gives me 171. And that's going to be in centimeters. Nope, just kidding. That's going to be in inches cubed. And don't forget cubed because we're finding volume. And I chose inches because it says inches up there. And I also wrote down inches in my diagram, so it should be inches. All right, question number 6. A triangular prism. So that's going to be the same exact thing. Let's write out our equation for this. The volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. And it's telling us here what the volume is. So let me read the whole thing. A triangular prism has a volume of 243 meters cubed. I'm actually going to plug that in right now. Volume, I'm going to plug 240 meters cubed in for the volume. The area of the base is 16 meters squared. You know what? Area of the base, that's the same thing as our large B right here, represents the area of the base. So let's plug in 16 to our equation. And then what's left over is times it by the height. So they're saying, what is the height of the triangular prism? What we have to do in question 6 is solve for the height. We don't know what the height is, so we need to solve for that. Well, this is our normal two-step equation that we've been solving for all year long. We have to get h all by itself. It's being multiplied to 16. We need to do the opposite of multiply to get rid of it. So we're going to divide both sides by 16. What that does is our 16 simplifies to 1. So it's no longer there, or it's invisible. And then we just have to solve the other side. 240 divided by 16. I'm typing this in right now, and I'm getting 15 is equal to h. So our answer is not just 15 because I said, what is the height? So our answer is going to be 15, and it's in meters. So I'm going to say 15 meters. I'm not going to cube my answer because they didn't ask me to find the volume. They asked me to find the height. They gave us the volume and said find the height. So that's going to be our answer, 15 meters. Okay, looks like that was it for today. If you have questions, please come and ask. Mrs. Morris and I are here before school, after school, shield time, end of term is coming. So please come and ask questions if you have them. Thanks, guys.